It was just another Tuesday at the Global Space Defense Command when humanity received its first alien distress signal. The message came through on all frequencies, broadcasting in over 50 different languages. Captain James Miller sat at his station, coffee cup frozen halfway to his lips as the universal translators processed the desperate plea. To any spacefaring civilization who can hear us, we are the Stellar Republic, and we face extinction. The swarm approaches our worlds, consuming everything in their path. Our fleets are destroyed, our defenses crumbling. We beg for aid from anyone who will listen. The message repeated on loop, accompanied by coordinates and data packets showing the devastating progress of this mysterious swarm through what appeared to be a highly advanced civilization's territory. Military analysts quickly confirmed this was no hoax. The signal origin and included sensor data were far beyond Earth's current technological capabilities. In the following hours, the United Earth government convened an emergency session. Representatives from every nation debated humanity's response. The aliens' technology level, based on their transmissions, indicated they were centuries ahead of Earth in development. Yet here they were, pleading for help from anyone who would listen. Admiral Thompson, commander of Earth's combined space forces, stood before the assembly with a grim expression. The Stellar Republic's nearest colony is 4 months away at our fastest sustainable speed. Their main fleet was annihilated trying to stop this swarm threat. They're requesting immediate military assistance, but... He paused, bringing up a holographic comparison of Earth's available ships versus the destroyed alien vessels. Their smallest destroyer appears to be more advanced than our best battleship. The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. Humanity had only achieved faster-than-light travel 15 years ago. Their fleet consisted mostly of converted cargo haulers, research vessels, and a handful of hastily constructed warships. They were barely more than retrofitted submarines in space, crude and primitive compared to the sleek alien designs shown in the transmissions. We can't possibly help them, one representative argued. Our ships would be useless against a threat that destroyed their advanced fleet. But then Dr. Linda Roberts, Earth's leading xenobiologist, stepped forward. Perhaps that's exactly why we should help. All eyes turned to her as she continued, they're expecting advanced solutions to fail because that's all they know. But humanity? We've spent our entire history finding unconventional solutions to overwhelming problems. Sometimes the oldest, simplest tricks work best precisely because no one expects them anymore. Admiral Thompson's eyes lit up with understanding. He quickly pulled up data on Earth's least impressive ships, the ones they'd been about to decommission. These vessels may be primitive by their standards, but that means they operate on completely different principles. The swarm might not even recognize them as threats until it's too late. The chamber grew quiet as the implications sank in. Humanity had always assumed their first contact with advanced aliens would leave them feeling inferior. Instead, their very backwardness might be exactly what was needed. President Wilson stood, surveying the assembly. Then let's show them what humanity's primitive ingenuity can do. Admiral Thompson, prepare your fleet. We're about to make history, not with our most advanced ships, but with our oldest and simplest ones. Sometimes the best solutions don't require the fanciest tools. As the emergency session adjourned, Captain Miller was already racing back to his ship, an aging vessel that had started life as a deep-sea research submarine before being converted for space travel. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't advanced, but it was sturdy and battle-tested. And soon, it would join humanity's least impressive fleet in their first interstellar rescue mission. The next few days were a flurry of activity as Earth prepared its response. They would show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology, but in their ability to think outside the box and never give up, no matter how overwhelming the odds seemed. The launch day arrived with little fanfare. Earth's Special Response Fleet consisted of 30 vessels that would have made any advanced civilization laugh, if they weren't so desperate for help. Captain Miller's ship, the Thunder Child, had been built in 2040 as an underwater research vessel before being retrofitted for space. Its hull was thick enough to withstand deep ocean pressures, making it surprisingly resilient against vacuum and radiation. Beside it floated the Red October, originally a submarine converted for asteroid mining, and the Nautilus, a former cargo hauler that still bore scratch marks from space debris. None of them had the sleek designs or energy shields of proper warships. Instead, they relied on layers of thick metal plating in compartmentalized sections that could be sealed off if breached. Admiral Thompson had chosen these ships for specific reasons. The swarm's weapons are designed to overcome advanced energy shields and quantum armor, he explained during the final briefing. But sometimes the oldest solutions are the most effective. These ships are built like tanks, simple, sturdy, and nearly impossible to disable with a single hit. The fleet's weapon systems were equally primitive by alien standards. Instead of plasma cannons or particle beams, they carried railguns that fired solid metal projectiles, point defense systems originally designed to clear orbital debris, and modified mining lasers. They even carried specialized boarding pods, a concept alien races had abandoned centuries ago in favor of long-range combat. Our greatest advantage, Dr. Roberts added, is that these ships don't rely on the same technology the swarm has adapted to counter. They won't be looking for kinetic weapons or expect ships that can continue fighting even when half their systems are knocked out. The fleet's crews had spent the last month training in unconventional tactics. They practiced fighting in tight formations, using debris fields as cover, and implementing strategies that dated back to ancient naval warfare. Each ship carried a special payload of experimental weapons developed by combining Earth's primitive technology with creative thinking. As the fleet prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed, Captain Miller addressed his crew. "We're about to attempt something that the galaxy's most advanced civilizations couldn't achieve. Not because we're better, but because we're different. Every primitive feature of this ship is an advantage they won't expect." The Thunderchild's engine room was a testament to human ingenuity. Instead of antimatter reactors or quantum drives, it ran on a hybrid system combining nuclear power with electromagnetic propulsion. The engine's radiation signature was so different from standard alien drives that initial tests suggested the swarm's targeting systems might not even register them as spacecraft. Just before the jump, Admiral Thompson sent one final message to the fleet. "Remember, we're not here to outgun them or outrun them. We're here to outthink them. Every piece of technology they consider obsolete is a potential surprise weapon. Every tactic they've forgotten is an opportunity. Show them why humanity never stops innovating, even with the simplest tools." The fleet vanished into FTL travel, leaving Earth behind. They carried with them humanity's determination, creativity, and a collection of obsolete technology that might just save an advanced civilization. As they traveled, the crews continued to refine their plans, knowing they had just 4 months to prepare for a battle that would either mark humanity's greatest triumph or their first interstellar defeat. In the Thunderchild's mess hall, Miller overheard 2 crew members discussing their chances. "It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight," one said nervously. The other grinned. "More like bringing a knife to a fight where everyone's forgotten knives exist. Sometimes the old ways work best." As they traveled deeper into space, the crews remained focused and determined. They might be piloting the least impressive fleet in the galaxy, but they carried with them humanity's greatest weapons, ingenuity, adaptability, and the ability to find unexpected solutions to impossible problems. 3 months into their journey, the Thunderchild picked up the first signs of the conflict they were heading toward. The ship's basic sensors detected debris fields stretching across entire solar systems, the remains of the Stellar Republic's once mighty fleet. What shocked the crew most wasn't the destruction, but the size of the wreckage. Even the smallest pieces dwarfed their largest vessels. "It's like comparing a rowboat to an aircraft carrier," Miller muttered as he studied the sensor readings. The destroyed alien ships had been massive, their technology far beyond anything humanity had achieved. Yet they had still fallen to the swarm. The fleet received updated transmissions from the Stellar Republic. Their situation had grown desperate. The swarm had already consumed 3 more colony worlds, converting all available biomass and technology into more of their kind. The Republic's remaining forces had retreated to their core worlds, but their defenses were failing. Admiral Thompson called an emergency meeting via holographic projection. "We've analyzed the new data. The swarm appears to be a collective of self-replicating machines that adapt to and counter any technology they encounter. They've learned to bypass the Republic's shields, predict their weapon patterns, and disable their advanced systems." Dr. Roberts, who had joined the fleet as their xenobiology expert, added her insights. "But notice what they do, they don't just destroy technology, they absorb and understand it. They're expecting to encounter more advanced resistance. They've optimized themselves for it." The fleet's technicians had spent the journey modifying their ships even further. The Red October now carried specialized electromagnetic pulse generators, considered hopelessly outdated by alien standards but potentially devastating against the machine swarm. The Nautilus had been fitted with crude but effective rocket pods that released clouds of metallic chaff, a centuries-old technique for confusing targeting systems. 2 weeks before reaching their destination, they made first contact with the Stellar Republic. A massive alien ship, sleek and damaged, appeared near their fleet. Its crew seemed shocked by humanity's vessels. "These are your warships?" The alien commander, appearing on their screens, tried to hide their dismay. The universal translator conveyed their mix of disappointment and desperation. Admiral Thompson stepped forward. "We understand they're not what you expected. But sometimes the best solutions come in unexpected packages. We've studied your data on the swarm, and we believe our fleet's unique characteristics might be exactly what's needed." The alien commander, introduced as High Captain Vereen, looked skeptical but desperate enough to accept any help. "The swarm approaches our core worlds. They've adapted to every weapon, every defense we've created. Our most advanced ships fall before them. How can your—" They paused, searching for a diplomatic word. "Primitive vessels hope to succeed?" Miller spoke up from his ship. "Because primitive doesn't mean ineffective. Every piece of technology you've abandoned, every tactic you've forgotten, they're all tools the swarm hasn't needed to adapt to. We're not here to match your technology level. We're here to show you why humanity never stops looking for new ways to solve old problems." The alien crew listened as humanity shared their battle plans. At first, there was confusion, then disbelief, and finally a growing sense of hope. The very aspects that made Earth's fleet seem primitive might be their greatest strength against an enemy that had optimized itself to fight only the most advanced technology. High Captain Vereen finally nodded. "Your approach is unconventional. But we've tried everything else. Our remaining forces will support your fleet however we can." As the human fleet approached the battlefield alongside their new allies, Admiral Thompson sent one final message: "Remember, we're not here to show them our advanced technology. We're here to show them why humanity's creativity and determination have helped us survive every challenge we've faced. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the ones your enemies least expect." The battle that would determine the fate of the Stellar Republic was about to begin. And humanity's least impressive fleet was about to demonstrate why technological advancement isn't the only path to victory. The swarm appeared exactly as the reports had described, a vast cloud of metallic constructs moving as one, their surfaces gleaming with stolen technology. They had already breached the outer defense line of the Stellar Republic's home system, and their advance seemed unstoppable. "They're bigger than we expected," Miller said, watching the massive swarm approach on the Thunderchild's basic radar display. Each individual unit was the size of his entire ship, covered in weapons and defenses stolen from countless civilizations. Admiral Thompson's voice came through the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, assume formation Delta. Remember your training. They're expecting advanced technology, let's show them something different. The human fleet spread out in what looked like a chaotic pattern, but was actually based on old submarine warfare tactics. The Red October took point, its electromagnetic pulse generators humming to life. The Nautilus and other converted cargo ships moved to the flanks, their holds full of surprises. The swarm's first attack came exactly as predicted, a wave of energy weapons designed to overcome shields and sophisticated defenses. But Earth's ships had neither. The thick metal hulls, designed to withstand deep ocean pressures, absorbed or deflected much of the energy. Those hits that did penetrate found compartmentalized sections that could be sealed off, limiting the damage. "They're confused," Dr. Roberts announced, monitoring the swarm's behavior patterns. "Their targeting systems are having trouble locking onto our ships. Our technology is so different from what they've adapted to, they're not sure how to categorize us." Miller watched as the Red October executed the first phase of their plan. The ship released its electromagnetic pulse, a massive burst of energy that would have been easily blocked by modern shields. But the swarm, optimized for countering advanced weapons, hadn't bothered to maintain protection against such a basic attack. Several of their units suddenly went dark, their stolen systems temporarily overloaded. "Now!" Thompson ordered. The Nautilus and other cargo ships released their payloads, clouds of metallic chaff, space mines based on simple contact detonators, and swarms of small, remote-controlled drones that had been built using purposefully primitive technology. The effect was immediate. The swarm's sophisticated targeting systems, designed to track energy signatures and quantum signatures, were overwhelmed by the cloud of simple metallic debris. Their advanced weapons found no clear targets through the chaos. "Phase 2, Miller ordered, and the Thunderchild surged forward with several other ships. They fired their railguns, simple weapons that accelerated metal projectiles to incredible speeds. The swarm, expecting energy weapons or exotic particles, was caught off guard by the sheer kinetic force of solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. "Keep firing," Thompson commanded as the first wave of swarm units showed signs of damage. "Don't give them time to adapt." The human fleet moved in complex patterns, their formations based on naval tactics hundreds of years old. Each ship carried different, primitive, weapons. Some had modified mining lasers, others had harpoon-like devices designed to entangle and disable, and some carried specialized boarding pods. The swarm tried to counterattack, but their responses were designed for fighting advanced civilizations. They attempted to hack systems that weren't computerized enough to hack, tried to overload shields that didn't exist, and sought to disrupt energy weapons that weren't being used. High Captain Vereen watched in amazement from their command ship. "They're actually doing damage. The swarm, they don't know how to fight this kind of battle." The human fleet pressed their advantage, but Miller noticed something concerning. Some of the swarm units were beginning to change, their surfaces shifting as they attempted to understand and adapt to these unexpected tactics. The battle was far from over. "All ships," Admiral Thompson broadcast, "execute Plan Omega. Remember, we knew they'd start adapting. Time to show them why humanity always has more tricks up our sleeve." The Thunderchild turned toward the heart of the swarm formation, leading the charge into what would become the most unconventional space battle in galactic history. Humanity's least impressive fleet was about to demonstrate their most impressive capabilities. Plan Omega unfolded like a chess game played with pieces the enemy had never seen before. As the swarm began adapting to their initial tactics, the human fleet revealed why they'd brought such a diverse array of obsolete technology. "Launch the boarding pods," Miller ordered. The Thunderchild released a dozen small, armored capsules, each carrying something the swarm couldn't have predicted: humans in mechanical pressure suits. While alien races had abandoned physical boarding action centuries ago, humanity had perfected the art of close-quarters combat in space. "They're not even trying to stop the pods," Dr. Roberts observed. Their defenses are focused on energy weapons and advanced projectiles. They don't recognize these as threats. The pod struck their targets, magnetic clamps securing them to the swarm unit's hulls. The suited humans emerged, carrying plasma cutters originally designed for asteroid mining. While the swarm had defenses against sophisticated cyber attacks and energy weapons, they had no countermeasures for humans physically cutting into their systems with industrial tools. Meanwhile, the Red October implemented the next phase. Instead of another electromagnetic pulse, they released something even more basic: water. In the vacuum of space, the water instantly froze, creating clouds of ice crystals that played havoc with the swarm's sensors and cooling systems. Now for the real surprise, Admiral Thompson announced. All ships, activate the resonance devices. This was humanity's master stroke. During their journey, they had analyzed the fragments of destroyed swarm units and discovered something crucial. The swarm's adaptive technology relied on complex molecular bonds to reshape and repair themselves. Earth scientists had developed simple sonic devices, literally space speakers, that produced frequencies that disrupted these bonds. The effect was devastating. Swarm units began to lose cohesion, their stolen technology unable to maintain its structure under the assault of such a basic attack. The mighty warriors that had defeated advanced energy weapons were being undone by simple vibrations. High Captain Varine's voice crackled over the comm. Impossible, they're actually breaking apart. The alien commander watched in astonishment as humanity's primitive solution accomplished what their most sophisticated weapons could not. But the swarm wasn't finished. The larger units began to merge, forming massive structures that could withstand the resonance attack. They launched a counteroffensive, this time using physical projectiles of their own, learning from the humans' tactics. They're adapting again, Miller warned, as the Thunder Child took a heavy hit. But that's exactly what we wanted. While the swarm had been focused on the obvious attacks, they'd missed the subtle part of Plan Omega. The human boarding teams had been placing small devices throughout the swarm's network, simple radio transmitters broadcasting on frequencies so basic that the swarm's advanced communication systems hadn't even noticed them. As the swarm units merged to counter the resonance attack, these transmitters went with them. All ships, fall back to safe distance, Thompson ordered. Time to show them why humanity never puts all its eggs in one basket. Dr. Roberts activated the transmitter network. Each simple device began broadcasting contradictory commands on the swarm's own internal frequencies. As the swarm units tried to coordinate their adapted defenses, they received thousands of conflicting instructions through their own networks. The sight was spectacular. Massive swarm structures began moving in different directions, their components unable to agree on a single course of action. Some units tried to separate, others to combine, creating a chaos of mechanical confusion. The biggest weakness of a hive mind, Miller observed, is that it depends on perfect coordination. Sometimes the simplest interference is the most effective. The battle wasn't over, the swarm was vast, and only a portion of their forces had been affected. But humanity had proven something extraordinary. Their primitive fleet had found weaknesses in the most advanced enemy the galaxy had ever faced, using technology that advanced civilizations had long forgotten. As the human fleet regrouped for the next phase of battle, High Captain Varine sent a message that would be remembered in history books. Today, you have taught us that advancement is not always about moving forward. Sometimes the greatest innovations come from remembering what others have forgotten. As the battle entered its final phase, the swarm's remaining forces had split into two distinct groups. One continued to fight using their advanced technology, while the other had attempted to copy humanity's primitive tactics. But this division proved to be their undoing. They're making a crucial mistake, Dr. Roberts announced, studying the sensor readings. They're trying to use our tactics without understanding the principles behind them. They're just copying what they see on the surface. Miller watched as enemy units clumsily attempted to mimic the human fleet's formation. They don't get it. Our strength isn't in the specific tactics, it's in our ability to adapt and combine different approaches. The Thunder Child led a daring charge straight through the divided swarm forces. Behind them, the Nautilus and other converted cargo ships released their final surprise, thousands of small, mechanical devices that looked like ancient sea mines. "Let's show them why humans learn from history," Admiral Thompson broadcasted. "All ships, execute Pattern Trafalgar." The human fleet split into 3 groups, recreating a naval tactic that had won battles on Earth's oceans centuries ago. But this time, they added a modern twist. The sea mine-like devices suddenly activated, creating a 3-dimensional grid of magnetic fields that channeled and trapped the swarm units. "They're not just mines," Miller explained to his crew. "They're nodes in the biggest fishing net ever created. Sometimes the oldest tricks still work best." The trapped swarm units found themselves caught in crossing fields of magnetic force, their attempts to adapt only making them more entangled. When they tried to use advanced technology to escape, the simple magnetic fields interfered with their complex systems. When they attempted to revert to basic functions, they couldn't generate enough power to break free. High Captain Varine's forces, coordinating with the human fleet, launched their remaining advanced weapons at the trapped swarm units. The combination of old and new technology, simple magnetic fields and sophisticated energy weapons, created a devastating effect that the swarm couldn't counter. "It's working because they can't adapt to both at once," Dr. Roberts explained. "They're caught between trying to counter advanced technology and basic physics. Their adaptation system is paralyzed by the contradiction." The battle reached its turning point when the swarm's attempted communication network, still corrupted by humanity's simple radio transmitters, began broadcasting conflicting retreat commands. Some units tried to flee while others attempted to press the attack, creating chaos in their formerly coordinated force. Miller ordered his crew to activate their last weapon, dubbed the Waterfall by the engineering team. It was nothing more than tanks of liquid metal, heated and released into space. In the vacuum, the metal formed perfect spheres, which were then magnetized by the field grid. The swarm units found themselves bombarded by thousands of simple metallic balls, their advanced sensors overwhelmed by the most basic of physical attacks. "Sometimes," Miller commented, "watching the swarm forces break apart under the assault, the best solution is the one that's been right in front of us all along." The remaining swarm units began a full retreat, their adaptive capabilities overwhelmed by the sheer variety of simple tactics they faced. They had evolved to counter the most sophisticated weapons in the galaxy, but found themselves defeated by technology that most advanced civilizations had considered obsolete. High Captain Varine's voice carried a mix of awe and humility as they addressed the human fleet. "You have achieved the impossible. Not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through the one thing the swarm couldn't adapt to, the ability to think differently." As the human fleet regrouped, Admiral Thompson sent a message that would be remembered throughout the galaxy: "Today we proved that advancement isn't a straight line. True innovation means being willing to look backward as well as forward, to find solutions in the lessons of the past as well as the technology of the future." The Stellar Republic's historians began recording the battle even as the last swarm units fled the system. They named it the Victory of the Simple, a reminder that sometimes the most effective solutions are the ones that have been forgotten by time rather than surpassed by progress. 1 month after the battle, the Thunder Child and its sister ships floated in orbit around the Stellar Republic's capital world. The once primitive fleet had become the center of attention for the galaxy's most advanced civilization. Engineers, military leaders, and scientists from dozens of worlds came to study Earth's vessels, not for their technology, but for the philosophy behind their design. Miller stood in a grand assembly hall, surrounded by alien diplomats and leaders. The crews of Earth's fleet had been honored as heroes, but more importantly, as teachers. The Stellar Republic had learned a valuable lesson about the true nature of progress. "We had forgotten something fundamental," High Captain Varine addressed the assembly. In our race to advance technology, we abandoned proven solutions. We became predictable in our sophistication. These humans, with their primitive ships, showed us that true advancement isn't about discarding the old, but about combining all knowledge, both past and present. Admiral Thompson presented the Republic's scientists with detailed records of the battle and Earth's tactical approaches. Our victory wasn't about the specific weapons or techniques we used, he explained. It was about maintaining a diversity of solutions. When you only have advanced technology, you can only solve problems in advanced ways. But when you keep all options available, you become truly adaptable. The Republic had already begun implementing changes based on Earth's example. Their newest ships incorporated both advanced shields and simple armor plating. Their weapon systems now included everything from sophisticated energy beams to basic kinetic projectiles. They were learning that true technological superiority meant having more options, not just more advanced ones. Dr. Roberts worked closely with alien scientists to develop new defensive systems. The swarm was dangerous because they could adapt to any single approach, she explained. The future of defense isn't in making everything more advanced, but in being unpredictable and versatile. The Thunder Child's simple design had inspired a whole new class of vessels. The Republic began building ships that combined their quantum technology with sturdy, practical engineering. They called them Thunder-class ships in honor of the Earth vessel that had helped change their perspective. Your victory has changed more than just military doctrine, a Republic elder told Miller during a celebration ceremony. It has changed how we think about progress itself. We had become so focused on moving forward that we forgot to look around us. Sometimes the best path forward requires a step to the side, or even a step back. Earth's status in the galactic community transformed overnight. They weren't seen as a primitive civilization to be pitted or uplifted, but as valuable allies who brought a unique perspective to galactic problems. The human fleet's success had proven that different levels of technological advancement could complement each other. "We're establishing a new academy," High Captain Vereen announced to the assembly. One where civilizations at all levels of development can share their approaches to problem solving. The swarm taught us the danger of becoming too predictable in our advancement. Humanity taught us the value of keeping all options available. As the Thunder Child prepared for its journey home, Miller received a message from a young alien engineer. "We've been analyzing your ship's design," the engineer said, "not to improve it with our technology, but to understand why it worked so well. We're learning that efficiency isn't always about complexity." Admiral Thompson's final address to the Republic's assembly would be remembered for generations. The greatest enemy of innovation isn't primitive technology, it's rigid thinking. Earth didn't help save the Republic because we had better ships or weapons. We helped save it because we never stopped believing that every tool, no matter how simple, has value if used creatively. The human fleet's return journey to Earth carried more than just glory and gratitude. They carried a new understanding that would shape humanity's future role in the galaxy. They had proven that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology, but in their ability to think differently, to find unexpected solutions, and to remember that sometimes the oldest answers can solve the newest problems. As the Thunder Child made its final jump toward Earth, Miller looked at his simple, sturdy ship with new pride. They had arrived in the galaxy as a primitive civilization with outdated technology. They were returning home as teachers, proving that true advancement comes not from abandoning the past, but from learning to combine all knowledge, old and new, into solutions that even the most advanced civilizations had never imagined.